Welcome to Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast, episode 114. Hi, I'm Jill. Thanks for joining us today.
And I'm Chris. Jill and I are your co-hosts and the founders of the Becoming Ellie community.
I know you're wondering why we're called Becoming Ellie. Ellie was the Norse goddess of aging who wrestled Thor and beat him. Chris and I thought, hey, we want to be like Ellie.
You can find out more about us at our website, becomingellie.com. Ellie is spelled E-L-L-I.
Be sure to sign up for our newsletter when you're there. That way you'll hear about new podcast episodes and anything else that's new in our world.
Hey, we have a call out today for Cindy Dallow. We talked with her in episode 99. It was called Ditch the Diet Culture. Cindy recently completed the Alaska Ironman. She had told us that she was training for it, so I was delighted to see that she successfully completed the race.
Cindy has a great race recap on her blog, which you can find at her website, 2doctrycoaching.com, if you want to hear more about doing the Alaska Ironman.
So today's episode is with Katie Orlando, who is a professional tennis player.
Yes, we have an interesting talk with her. Let's go to the podcast.
Katie Orlando is a professional tennis player. She was recently inducted into the USPTA Midwest Hall of Fame. Katie played college tennis at the University of Akron, where she was All-MAC Conference in 1993. She is currently the tennis director at the Towpath Tennis Center in Akron, Ohio, and has won numerous awards for her volunteer work in tennis.
Katie is in the University of Akron Sports Hall of Fame, and she was also named the 2019 USPTA Midwest Professional of the Year. Katie is sponsored by Wilson for rackets. Welcome, Katie. We're glad to have you here, and congratulations on becoming a member of the Hall of Fame. That's really exciting.
Thank you. It was really exciting. It was exciting.
I'll bet. Wow. Well, so let's just start with, what does it mean to be a professional tennis player?
People think professional tennis players, what the people you see at the U.S. Open right now, or, getting ready to play at the U.S. Open. But, that is some of us. But right now, for most of us, is passing on the passion of the game to others. And that's what I've been doing for 30 years at Towpath. And I started playing tennis at a really young age. And at the age of 15 at my club back home, I realized I love teaching tennis. And I love passing the tennis on to others in all different types of communities. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Okay. So like when someone says they're a tennis pro at a tennis club is the same kind of person as the golf pro at a
Could golf, be at a country club or something like that.
Club. Yeah. Like where you go and their job is to play, but also help other people learn the sport and I guess play better at the sport.
Right. I mean, I was a good player one time. My passion was playing. I played high performance tennis. I played Division I college tennis, but not every good player can teach tennis. But you don't have to be a professional like U.S. Open player to teach the game either. So I have a variety of different staff players, staff pros here at the club have different varieties of tennis backgrounds that are very great teachers.
Okay.
So it all depends on, it has to be that right person, someone who's able to communicate to others, get relationships together. You have to have, be able to put people together and speak their language. Meaning like you have to be able to get into their mind, like, that you guys speak to them how they want to be spoken to on the tennis court to teach the game. Tennis is not an easy game. As you guys probably know, you can't just go out there and play tennis. I mean, it's a very hard game to play well.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you get started playing tennis?
My parents played.
Oh, okay.
Which helps. My parents would play at the club that we belonged to. And then my siblings and I, if we were good, they would bring us to the club. We sat behind the court where they played. And if we were good that hour or two, they'd let us come down, the last 5 minutes of their court time, and we would jump in and try to hit. And I really took on to that and started taking lessons, and it went crazy from there.
Oh, wow.
It went crazy from there.
So, what about tennis makes you stick with it?
I love the challenge of it. It's a challenging game for me.
Yeah. How do you mean?
I mean, it could be really easy one day and you're wondering what happened the next day. Like you had a serve one day and the next day you come out here and play and you don't have a serve. So it always made me want to be better, like work on something to get better. Cause even at the age I am now, there's always something I can do better to get my game better. So that's something that it keeps you mentally strong. It's a good mind. You're out there by yourself. You're battling yourself. And I think it's a great sport for females. I've learned at a young age that I learned to battle myself and others because of tennis. It gave me strong enough to speak out, to stick up for myself, not be so shy, quiet. I was one time quiet. My mom and dad said I was quiet at one time. I really don't remember those days, but now I'm very outspoken, and tennis has gotten to be that way. And self-confidence. I see a lot of these girls nowadays. It's like, oh, they just need to play tennis and learn some self-confidence. Hold their head up high and realize that you could be anything you want to be. So I'd like to put that into the kids too, especially the girls I teach. Like, no, it's not just about tennis. We're learning life lessons out there. Totally learning life lessons. And I've learned thousands of them out there on the court. And I still do on a daily basis.
That's great.
Did you play other sports when you were growing up?
I did a little bit of the soccer, everyone does a little soccer thing, but it wasn't for me per se. That I realized that I was more of the individual sport person than the team sport person. So when I was watching my parents play tennis, I think that's why instead of my siblings, I said, I want to play tennis. I don't want to play soccer. I remember just being soccer, standing in the field and thinking, this is boring. I'm just standing there in the field. I'm not even kicking the ball. But tennis, you're actively hitting the ball every other time, or every time if you're playing sync.
You're active the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like that, like being active the whole time.
What kind of cross training do you do? Like, how do you stay fit besides just tennis, or to prepare you for tennis? I don't know. Maybe that's the way to say it.
So obviously my fitness has changed over the years, but sure. I still do cardio, strength training, flexibility training. You got to live with your roller, your pressure massager. I mean, as I get older, I'm on that floor every night rolling out because I'm sore. Obviously, when you're in college and you're playing in the top tournaments when you're a kid, you don't think about that. But now it's like you still have to stay in shape and make sure that that people want to come out in the court saying, "Oh, she looks like a tennis player." You don't want someone to come out in the court saying, "Oh, she's so out of shape." I don't want to take a lesson from her. So I feel mentally I need to stay in shape for others, and obviously I need to stay in shape for myself. Just because I want to be able to go out there and hit with the best kids or the best adults out there on a regular basis without huffing and puffing.
So what do you do for cardio?
Yeah, I love running, but I can only run 3 times a week now because my knees are so bad.
Okay.
So I do biking, running, and rowing for my cardio. So I alternate all that stuff. And then obviously my strength training in between just to keep everything strong, and rolling and all that kind of stuff. So just like all you guys do, I mean, I have to change it up. It can't be this. Since I'm so repetitive every day, swinging the tennis racket every day, I got to change up my fitness.
So do you have a rolling routine that you do, or you just basically roll a couple of different key muscles? What do you do?
Depends on what's hurting that day. But usually, you do posterior chain, anterior chain. You do all the stuff that, the large tennis, when you're using large glute muscles, you're using your quads, your hamstrings.
And you're talking about a foam roller,
yep.
Right? Or do you use a lacrosse ball? Or
I have that too, or tennis balls, whatever I need to get in there. Roll on a lacrosse ball or big, heavy, I don't know if it's a lacrosse ball, but something. I have a big ball that I roll on just to get those kinks out.
And did you say a pressure massager?
Yeah, like the Theragun type of thing. They use
massage gun.
Yeah, that's a lifesaver. Oh, that's a life. I travel with that thing. That makes my bag every time. Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's important. It gets that blood flow going to that spot that you need that blood flow going to. Is
it mostly in your legs?
My right arm, my shoulder, my bicep tendon, it's it's so repetitive.
I hadn't thought about it, but you're in the situation where it'd be like being a personal trainer or whatever. You have to actually stay in shape professionally. I mean, as part of your, you can hardly let yourself get into
mediocre shape.
Yeah. Right. Well, and expect people to want to work with you.
Yeah. I mean, we're promoting wellness. We're promoting wellness, and part of being well is, being, I'm not going to be like in shape like I was in college when I was playing. It's a whole different type of being in shape.
Yeah.
But you have to be, I think part of being a professional is looking the part. And I want to look the part.
That makes sense. So that sort of leads up to my question I'm going to ask next, which is, how has aging affected your sport? And so what has gotten easier as you've gotten older, and what has gotten harder?
Wow. What's gotten easier, I've been at one facility for 30 years since college. I know the clientele. And I've had long-term relationships. And I can honestly say some of my players are probably I met them 30 years ago. So let's say if I met them when they were 50, now they're 80.
Wow.
They're still playing. And I can't say they're just as good as they were when they're 50s.
Yeah, but still playing when you're 80,
Yeah.
playing tennis? That's awesome.
I'm keeping them going. I mean, my oldest is 93 right now.
That's impressive.
It's just the relationship. They're coming to the lesson for the relationship and the fact that they're moving. That's been easy because I've been able to keep those relationships going over the years. The hard part is, I'm losing some now.
Oh, that's hard.
Because I've been there for so long, and then getting the new people in, trying to get and there's so many, back in the day, there wasn't that many options. Now there's so many options and life is in the way. You don't have the people just come and like, I want to go play 2 hours of tennis. Well, the kids are doing violin, piano, soccer, They're doing 12 things. So it's very hard to compete against the outside world right now and saying that tennis is how important tennis is to just learning like I said, the lessons of life lessons you learn out here. But you know how it is. I'm kids and they're everywhere. I never was that programmed as a child.
Yeah.
I had played. My mom allowed me to go outside and play. I was able to go ride my bike and go play and make sure I was home by dark, right? That was the rule. Now it's just like their kids are so programmed and they're so overwhelmed with everything. And I think just 2022 is just, going against other sports. I mean, there's so many other things they're going through right now that tennis is sometimes gets pushed aside because they want to do basketball, baseball, whatever sport season it is in.
If you have clients that are in their 80s and 90s, it's definitely a lifelong sport.
Absolutely. We start as early as 3.
Really?
Yep. They learn like athletic development movements. They learn hand-eye coordination. I'm not expecting them to have a great forehand or backhand, but they just learn how to move. Because right now you don't see that in PE classes. I'm seeing kids they never really learned how to run. They didn't ever learn that tracking ability. And when we had PE maybe every day of the week when we were kids. Now they're lucky they go once a week.
Oh, really?
To PE class. And they only get like 30 minutes. So you have to teach those kids all those learned behaviors that we take for granted that we actually learned them back in the day, but we learned them in PE class or just going out and playing. We learned those things.
So like that eye-hand coordination.
Yeah. Tracking skills, all that stuff is all stuff that you have to learn. You have to teach them now. They don't get that from the video games that they're playing.
Yeah. Is it something that people will take up in their 50s? Like just yeah.
We're getting a lot of people now. We call it start, restart. They're coming back to the game. Like they once played in high school and now they realize, no, I missed that. So they'll come back to the game, which is good. So they had some high school experience or they played with their parents back in the day. Now they have the income too, that maybe they can spend more money on themselves and they'll come back and come to the game. So we get a lot of people in their late 40s, early 50s come back to the game, which is nice.
I would guess that's probably a variety of reasons, but one, they're not hauling kids around as much.
Right. They have more time.
Chris and I, what we do with the podcast and everything is that at least women, when they start to get around the age of 50, begin to sort of realize they need to focus a bit on themselves as well as everyone else.
Right. It's harder to stay fit if you don't focus on it,
True.
As you get older.
Well, for me, I had to schedule it. I schedule just like everything else in my calendar. I have to schedule my fitness or the time someone else will take away the time.
Yeah.
We talk a lot on this podcast about motivation, discipline, inspiration. How do you motivate yourself to keep playing your sport and doing what you need to do to stay fit? Has that ever been a challenge for you?
Not really. I think because I really do love the sport. I mean, I've played at such a young age. I watch it. I follow it. I have friends that I have a lot, community around me that's all tennis. But I really, truly love the sport of tennis. And I truly believe in what tennis can do for others. So I've really never had a problem motivating myself to keep up in tennis.
How do you motivate other people?
That's hard. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. But I just try to keep instilling in them that they can do this, and it's a hard sport and they can get better, but it takes a lot of work. It's one of those things you can't come and just take 1 hour lesson and realize that you're going to be a tennis player. It takes time and commitment to be a tennis player.
Yeah. So it's not one of those things that you just pick up and do.
No. And that's why you probably have heard of pickleball. Pickleball has taken over because it's so easy. Anyone can go out there, tennis experience or not, and within an hour time can play pickleball. That's not always true with tennis. I absolutely say more likely it's not true with tennis. If you have no hand-eye coordination or no athletic ability, it's very hard to go out there on the tennis court and play tennis, but it's going to be very easy to go out there and play pickleball. That's why it's getting so big. Anyone can do it if you're an athlete or non-athlete.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's fun. People think it's a fun game to play.
Pickleball is certainly a very popular sport right now. There's no doubt.
Yeah. And it's good for I think it's good for the older generation. I know the younger generations are playing right now, but definitely at our club, I see it mostly because of the older generation. They think they have 4 people on a smaller court. It's less movement for them. They have new hips, they have new knees. And it's like, so they're doing a lot less movement. They're still in the competitive world and still doing things with their friends, which is important. It's a social component too, to all this. People like to be with their friends.
Do you have pickleball?
We do have pickleball at the facility. Yep.
Okay. What strengths or what talents does it take for you to become or to make you a great tennis player, or at least a good tennis player?
Discipline.
Discipline?
Just need discipline. Yeah. You got to be able to go out there and do it and do repetitions and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And then realizing that there's going to be some good days and some bad days, but you got to keep with it. And I think taking lessons is important because you learn the right way versus going out into the park and then you buy a can of balls and you hit all 3 balls over the fence. Guess what you do? You're done. Those people put their rackets away in the garage and they'll never use them again. But I think it's more like golf. You need to go out there and get a lesson, learn how to swing properly, and then you're a little bit more successful. But it takes discipline. It takes time. It's not an easy fix for sure.
Yeah. Well, our podcast is for women over 50 who are interested in being fit and staying healthy and strong. Is tennis a good activity for women over 50?
Absolutely. It uses all body parts. It uses your mental brain as well. So you're using mental stimulation, you're using physical stimulation, and then there's a social impact to it too. So you get everything all in one on the court, and you can do an hour of tennis, an hour of cardio. We have something that's called a cardio tennis here, where it's just an hour of hitting tons of balls. You're not really playing against anyone. A pro is feeding tons of different balls, and you can burn 800 calories easily.
800 in an hour?
If you're just like a spin class. So would you rather be on a bike in a spin class, or a lot of people, tennis players would like to I'd rather go play tennis and burn calories. So it all depends what you want to do. It definitely is a good way to get back into shape. We use cross our body a lot. A lot of sports are always you're facing forward. We do a lot of cross. So that's very good for your core strength. And
yeah,
that's really good for women, especially because we're always talking about what our core looks like, right?
Yeah. Well, and you think about when you take a class or work with a trainer or whatever, they're always trying to figure out how to get you to hit those side core muscles.
I wouldn't have thought tennis was so great for your core, but now that you point that out, the crossing definitely makes sense.
Yeah, we use tons of obliques.
Obliques. That was like totally blanking on the word.
Yeah, tons of obliques. I mean, sometimes I'll go home and you just feel they're sore just by the touch, just because how much turning you do.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if we don't currently play tennis, do you have any advice on getting started?
Yeah, just come to Towpath and play. We have beginner programs, and it's easy. It's cheap. We have an intro starting program that's 5 weeks, and you learn the strokes of tennis, and we mix you up with people of your own level. And then a lot of these people we've seen go on, and they're friends now, and they've been playing for the last 10 years together as a group. So it's an easy. I think you have to get in a situation at a club or something where they offer an introductory program. That's the best way to do it.
I didn't really consider that, but I guess a tennis club would set you up with another person who's at your same level. You don't have to join with another person.
No.
You don't have to bring a partner to start, right?
No. And we also have a ball machine that shoots out balls at you if you don't have a partner for that day, which is a great workout, by the way.
Oh, I bet it is.
because that ball machine never misses. Sometimes your partner does miss and you get a little break, right? The ball machine never misses.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of ways to get involved in tennis, at all ages, over 50. We just had a free for all on Saturday, and we had over 50 people here playing who tried tennis for the first time or came back to tennis.
Oh, wow.
We had way more adults than we did kids this time. I guess I guarantee that most of them are probably close to around 40 or 50 for sure.
This is kind of an interesting question about lessons that you've learned as a professional athlete. I mean, is there anything that you could share with our listeners about staying fit and healthy and getting strong, staying strong, important lessons as a professional athlete?
Yeah. Listen to your body, first of all. Sometimes I have a hard time my body's telling me to shut down and I won't shut down. So I've learned that as I gotten older, especially like, hey, it's okay to take a day off, but you got to get back on. So that's probably the biggest thing.
Recovery.
Recovery is important. Obviously nutrition's important, and hydration. I was never, when I played the tournaments and stuff, they made you drink and you didn't think about it. But now that I wasn't playing as much, I wasn't drinking as much because I didn't want to leave the court to go to the bathroom. But you realize you got to hydrate. Hydration's huge. So drink as much water as and that's my biggest downfall. I have to tell myself to drink water. Like I have to carry it with me so I know I have to drink it or I won't drink it.
I think that's really the key, isn't it? To always have your hand on a water bottle.
Yes, right.
Whether you're in the car or like we are on the computer or what have you.
Always have your water with you because I don't think as females especially, I'm a dry person, hair, nails, skin, and I need that hydration or that throws everything off.
Yeah.
That throws everything in your body totally off and it makes your muscles hurt more.
Well, true. I hear people say tennis is hard on your knees. And of course, there's the infamous tennis elbow. And
right.
How do you protect yourself how do you protect your knees, elbows, your body?
Stay strong, cross train. Tennis elbow usually doesn't happen when people play tennis. I know that's a myth, but people get tennis elbow from gardening, especially like I'll see it around April and May when my ladies want to go out there and get their garden going and they're doing the same repetitive motion over and over they're not used to doing.
Yep. That twisting of pulling the weeds out. You twist and pull. Yep.
Oh, I just painted my fence the other day and my elbow is hurting me. Well, you have tennis elbow, not from playing tennis, from painting your fence. It's always something different from their actual tennis. So
tennis elbow is really just like an inflammation in
the outside of your elbow. And then inside your elbow is golfer's elbow.
Oh, okay.
So do you have certain exercises that you tell your clients to do to cross train?
Yes. A lot of band work. I like bands, especially.
Okay.
Just resistance bands, just keeping around your ankles, around your wrist. And, you can do it for 15, 20 minutes at home. A lot of the ladies, honestly, they'd rather take another hour less than a week than go to the gym and work out. But I'm like, no. You need that strength training or the resistance band training to get you better at tennis. Just because you're going to play another hour a week doesn't mean you're going to get better. You're probably actually going to get worse because, like you said, that's when overuse comes into play. And that's usually when tennis elbow comes in. If you do get tennis elbow from tennis, it's from overuse.
And what about the knees?
I think a lot of it's genetic. Like I have one bad knee and one good knee. I've had, 3 surgeries on one knee. So, from playing tennis. Yeah, you just got to like I said, that's my big stuff. You got to be smart. You got to know when it's time to say, okay, my body's telling me I need to stop. I need to take some time. Ice your knees if they hurt. Ice is so important when your body parts hurt. But, as females, I know we push through. We push through because no one says we're allowed to have a day off, but we are allowed to have a day off from doing the pounding.
Yeah. And
the hips are big in tennis. I've got a lot of people have hip issues because that's the turning. So we have to watch that. We have to stretch. Stretching's important. I mean, as a kid, I never stretched.
No.
But now it's like, oh my gosh, every morning, every night, you got to make sure you get your body flexible enough to still be able to touch your toes and stretch out your body parts.
Do you do yoga and anything formal with stretching or?
I used to do some Pilates. Yoga would be great. Supplemental to what your other stuff is. I don't think yoga is the only thing that you have to do, but I think yoga is a good supplemental thing. I don't do it, but I usually pretty much do it on my own. I wouldn't call it yoga per se, but I just do a lot of flexibility stuff on my own. Just so I do. I wish I had more time to go to an actual class.
Yeah.
It's all about the time. I do all my workouts like at 5 a.m.
Yes.
So it's all early in the morning. So I have to come into, once I go home and do the family thing, I'm done.
Right.
I can't get a workout in. So I always have to do it early in the morning. I'm an early person. I'm an early riser. So I get up in the morning, do it, and love it. I feel better throughout the day. I think that helps me actually during the day is the early workout. My body doesn't hurt as bad because already got the blood flow going.
Yep. Gives you the energy.
More energy for sure. Your metabolism's going. So I think that helps keep the weight down.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. When you work out early in the morning, your heart continues to pump, and you do burn more calories that way.
They say that.
That's what I hear. I think it's true.
I do the running sometimes in the morning, twice a week. And those days that I run, it's like 9:30. I'm like, oh my gosh, can I eat my lunch yet?
Yeah,
because
calories.
I'm hungry. I just ran 5 miles. Like I need to eat my lunch. It's only 9:30, But yeah, your body's going, which is good.
That is good. Well, this is an unusual thing for us, for Jill and myself, that we know your husband who does a lot of endurance sports triathlons and running and
kayaking.
And that's how we met you. We were wondering, do you do any of those things, triathlons and running and, competitive running?
No. And because disability wise, I can't, with my disability policy, I can't get hurt doing something besides my professional sport.
I see.
Or they won't pay for me to be
as a professional athlete. Yeah, that makes
sense. So if I ever did race, I always with my husband because he's bugging me like, "Oh, do this 5K, it'd be fun." I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna have to have a different name because they can't put my name down on because I don't want my name to show up on a roster just in case I blow out my knee or something." So I'm thinking that way, more like just be careful. But no, he does all those weird stuff. He does. I think runners. Are you guys both the runners?
Yeah.
You guys are. I thought you guys are a whole different breed. Running is a whole different breed for me. When you go out there and do those marathons and those triathlons, I'm like, that's crazy. I think it's amazing, but it's crazy.
Well, he does a lot of kayaking too.
Yeah. Adventure triathlons.
Yeah.
All the time. He's the great athlete. My gosh.
Yeah. He's good. He's very good.
Very impressive, but also very, very inspirational
he's supportive of other people.
Very supportive of everyone else. He is
extremely
got a big heart.
He does. And he's one of my, besides my father, my mom has passed, but my parents and Scott was always pushed me to be, to be better. And when I got into the Hall of Fame for Akron, we were married and I got in the Hall of Fame for USPTA. He couldn't have been more prouder. That was amazing.
It was so funny because so first of all, you're sort of famous among the people that Scott.
I would say more than sort of. You're
people will say, did you know that Scott's wife is a professional tennis player? So there's that sort of mystique.
Right.
I contacted him because I wanted to find out about you being on the podcast. And he sent me an email about you being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And, pride just poured out of that email. I
get embarrassed when I said, we'll go to a run thing. And he's introduced me and I'm like, don't have to tell him my whole bio. I'm just, my name is Katie. And that's all you have to say. You don't have to go, oh, she's in the Hall of Fame with this. She's in the Hall. I'm like, stop. And you're embarrassing me. If I could run a 7-minute mile like he can, I would take that over a Hall of Fame, I think, because how much more work how much more I can get done if I can run a 7-minute mile. Back in college, he ran a 5-minute mile. I'm like, this is crazy.
He was complaining about how slow he was. And I looked at whatever it was and I thought, well, if I could be that slow, I'd be speedier than I've ever been in my life.
He goes, you want to go out and run with me? I'm like, no. We have 2 different paces. The word run is not the same in our dictionary. I go out to run to stay in shape and so I can eat. He runs to get better in his time. So it's I'm not worried about time. I'm just worried about if I want to go out and run 5 miles, I'll just go out and run 5 miles. However long it takes me to run 5 miles, it takes me that long. He wants to obviously do it in a timely manner.
Do you kayak or bike ride?
I love the bike.
Do you?
Because of my knees, I've had so many knee problems with my one knee. I've done a lot of bike and therapy for the bike, and the bike is really good for low impact. But I don't do the kayaking thing. I'm not really big into water.
Oh, okay.
I like to stay on land. But he's good at the kayaking thing. I think when he does his triathlons, he says his 2 top things is running and kayaking, and bike is his worst. I think I'm pretty strong on the bike.
Excellent. Well, I guess that's so what is it like with both of you being so active in sports?
Competitive. Everything's competitive. Oh, yeah. Everything's competitive. That's okay, though, in a good way.
So maybe it's good then that you're not doing those races and things.
Right. He'll say, like, one time, it's funny, like, he'll come home, or I'll say, oh, I ran 5 miles this morning. He'll come back, like, he works out at night. And he'll say, well, I ran 5.5 today. I think he personally just ran 5.5 because I ran 5.
If you're running in the morning and he's running at night, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah. So if he tells me he ran 5.5, I'll make sure I do 6 the next day just so I one-upped him, you know?
That's good.
But it's nice to have someone. He's a trainer too. Like, he's a certified trainer. So it's nice to know if something's going wrong or whatever, or he'll stretch me out. You know, it's nice to have someone who sort of knows the anatomy and physiology of the body. So he can help me, because sometimes I'm like, I need to go to work tomorrow. This is really killing me. How do I get this to stop hurting so bad? And he'll help me there, which is nice.
That's great.
What are you aiming for next? I mean, do you have
retirement
plans and goals for the retirement?
No. I don't know.
You're a long way from retirement.
I'm really big into, my passion right now is adaptive communities. I'm working with adaptive communities to get them playing tennis. So I've done a lot of ACE and autism and wheelchair tennis. So I'm trying to grow those communities at the club. We have a brand new clubhouse here that's just been open over a year, which is all accessible now to all handicapped players. So before, our old facility was not, it was too old. So I couldn't even get a wheelchair through the door properly. So now I've been trying to get my adaptive going. I realized now tennis, it doesn't always have to mean like US Open level tennis. Tennis is whatever people want to make of it. And then if it's just, you know, 2 autistic kids rolling the ball back and forth on the tennis court, that's tennis, you know? So it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, they're calling that tennis. So it's tennis. So they think they're playing tennis, and that's good. And they're smiling. I'm giving a couple of hours off from their parents every day to have a break from their kids, and they're loving the sport, because there's not that much out there for kids in the adaptive world to do different sports.
That's great.
Yeah, it's the best hour of the week for me, is the adaptive. It's a hard hour because you never know what's going to happen, but it's gratifying. Oh, it's so nice to see the kids out there and the adults smiling and having fun who never everyone else ever give them a shot to do anything before, which is great.
It has to be a challenge to play tennis while in a wheelchair.
Oh my gosh, I tried it and I can't do it. It's hard.
Yeah, because
it's hard.
I mean, part of tennis is running from side to side in the court.
Right. So I've actually played a couple of times with professional wheelchair athletes, tennis, and they call it, so you have a professional, an able-bodied person with a wheelchair person, and they're absolutely amazing. Like, they're allowed to get 2 bounces if they wanted it. A lot of times they don't even take 2 bounces.
Wow.
They're that fast and that agile on the court with their chair. It's amazing. It's crazy.
So that's what you're working on now.
I'm working on getting more. I like to bring tennis to all the different communities I can and take it on and see who does what with it, and see what, you know, realize that, yeah, this is tennis. It doesn't have to be a high performance player to be called tennis. It could be anyone in the adaptive world.
All right. You brought this up a little bit, so let's shift gears for a minute and talk about food.
Oh, yeah.
How does healthy eating influence your game, or what's your nutrition plan when you're gearing up for a big event?
Well, like I said, hydration's huge. I'm really into the protein shakes and the bars. I love all that stuff. I'm not really good with food. I'm not good with preparation of food. If you know, ask Scott. I'm not a very big in person into the kitchen. I never was in the kitchen. When I was a kid, I was always playing tennis. So my mom always took care of that for me. So I like the easy, quick preparation food that I can do. But also, you know, of course, the bananas, the granola, you know, all the easy stuff that you can eat throughout the day. I like to eat every couple hours. That's sort of my nutrition plan, is to eat every couple of versus, you know, 3 squared meals per se.
Right.
I eat every couple hours, like an apple, banana, bar, just keep my metabolism going throughout the day. I'm not really, especially if I'm on the court all day long, I can't really get off the court to have lunch or leave to go have lunch. So I usually just bring my lunch with me, and it's usually a bar or a fruit of some sort, and I just eat on the go.
Well, I would think also if you're playing that you wouldn't want to stop and have a large meal in the middle of the day.
You can't have a big pasta. Maybe the night before you can have a big pasta dinner, but not the day of.
Right.
Definitely not.
Is there anything in particular you eat before or after a game? You mentioned protein shakes and bars. Is that
Carbs. We like carbs as tennis because we're endurance athletes.
Okay.
So we like carbs, and I love carbs. That's why I work out as much as I can because I love carbs so much to burn them off. But carbs are good. It keeps you going because, we can be out there in the court 3.5 hours.
Well, so yeah, you need some energy and all that. And then in general, so when you're not talking about working out, how do you eat? Do you follow any sort of way of eating? Like, I don't know, vegan, paleo?
Call it picky. I'm a picky eater.
Picky eating.
I'm very plain. I'm a very plain eater. Like I just, I don't put much on my food. Like I do like the plain chicken, or I'm big into just like a cheese just a cheese quesadilla. But I don't worry about a diet per se. I just know it works for me. I don't like to go out of my range of things or try new things. I know it works with my body. I do give myself a cheat as I get older, I give myself a cheat day, where I can go, I can have dessert today because I worked out so hard all week. But yeah, I really don't worry too much about the diet plan or paleo or anything like that. I just I think you have to know what your body does or what your body how your body reacts to different foods. I think I've sort of found the foods that my body does well with, and I sort of stay in that food group area. Right. Don't leave it too much.
When there's no time to cook dinner and you're really hungry, do you have a certain go-to meal or something that you like to make?
I don't really make much food. It's more like, who do I call to get food?
So it's a takeout.
My favorite food, obviously, and I actually eat a lot of it, is pizza.
Yeah.
Because it's just plain. I just do cheese, plain, the bread, the sauce and the cheese, to me, that's a good fix for me to eat. I'm a pizza girl. Obviously I can't eat the whole pizza, but it gives me enough fuel to get going for the next day.
This is a real big aside. I had a spinach pepper pizza the other day.
Okay.
It was
Is it good?
I don't eat a lot of pizza. Boy, it was like, this was the best pizza I've had in a long time.
Spinach on it. That's usually not something that you hear about on.
I know. That's why I was a little skeptical, but it was excellent.
Yeah. I won't ever put spinach on anything, but I don't mind if spinach, like if I order something, spinach is on it. It's amazing. Like spinach is so good for you. I should eat it more. That sounds really good. Actually, I love peppers too.
It was good.
That sounds really good. Well,
if our listeners want to find out more about you, is there some place where they could find you online?
Yeah, if you go to www.topattennis.com, my whole bio and my whole staff's bio is on there. So I've been here so long, so there's a pretty big bio on there. Yeah, I'm sure you can just Google me, but Topath probably the best way to find out more information, or all my contact information is on there as well. So if someone wants to email me or whatever, please email me if they want to play some tennis or try some tennis. This is a really safe environment, I tell people. And I think when they come here, they're going to feel comfortable. Some people just don't like to get out of their realm of, I've never tried it before. I'll never try it. Come. Like right now, it's 2:50 in the afternoon. Our courts are pretty quiet till about 4:00 when the kids get out of school. So you always do during the day where it's quiet. No one's going to see you play. But it's, we want to make this a place where people can come and feel safe and try something new,
That's great.
They'll get hooked. I'm sure they'll get hooked.
Well, thank you, Katie. It's really wonderful having you here with us. I really appreciate your time and willingness to talk with us.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll see you again next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. It's interesting to talk with someone who makes a living by being an athlete. Katie has a great perspective on staying fit and taking care of herself.
Yes. And, it's interesting about how or why she doesn't run in races. And I guess it really makes sense that you can't get injured doing things other than your sport when you're a professional athlete.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also loved it when Katie said she doesn't like to cook, so she just sort of snacks all day.
Yeah, well, I think, it makes sense when you're doing as many calories as she's doing, you have to stay fueled.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I was surprised when she said she loves to eat pizza.
I was thinking about that. And I think because she's had to stay in good shape for her career, she probably hasn't had the weight fluctuations that many of us have had to deal with. She's probably better able to eat a wider range of foods than many of us.
Yes. And when she said the secret of her staying fit with eating was being a picky eater, I knew her eating habits are different than mine because I don't think I've ever been a picky eater.
No, I would say actually I'm a fairly enthusiastic eater.
Yeah.
There's not much I don't like.
As a kid, I was always a member of the Clean Plate Club, as they say.
My father took great pride in being a member of that club.
Yeah.
We should probably explain to our listeners that we know Katie's husbands because Scott heads up an endurance sports team that we both belong to. We talked about him, but I don't think we actually explained how we knew him.
Yes, I got involved with that team back in 2009 when one of my clients asked me to work on the website. And then the next thing you know, I ended up on the team, which is kind of fun. There's some people that are extremely fast on that team, and Scott is one of them.
Yes, and then there's some who are extremely not fast, and I am one of them.
Me too.
There was one time I did a race with some of those team members, and I mean, I didn't run with them, but
right.
It took me so long to get back that these guys started to worry that something had happened to me. They were going to run back the 5K to find me. And somebody else who knows me much better said, she's fine. She'll be here.
That's funny. Well, it was really fun to talk about tennis and also pickleball. And I'd love to hear if any of our listeners either play tennis to stay fit or those that play pickleball. I'd like to hear more about that as well.
Yeah, her take on pickleball was interesting, wasn't it? Anyway, you can leave a message at our website, becomingellie.com, or at any of our social media sites. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And Becoming Ellie is our ID on all of them.
Yes, if you go to our website, be sure to sign up for our newsletter, and that way you'll know what's going on. Also, please join our Becoming Ellie private Facebook group.
Yes, we would love to have you join us. Oh, and if you enjoyed the podcast, please tell a friend. We would appreciate that.
Yes, that's the easy way to support this podcast. They say that word of mouth is how most people find podcasts, so it would really help us.
It's been good talking with you today, Chris. See you on the next episode of Fit Strong Women Over 50.
Yep, see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.